Yeah, I just want to say one thing now that the public speaking portion is over, is that I know the last few meetings, residents of the matter have been coming out and, expressing their concern over the deplorable living conditions that many of you are under, that nobody should endure. I know prior to that, you reached out to the councilwoman at large, to the councilman of the ward, and then ultimately you've come here seeking relief from this body to see what we can do to help you. Again, while we don't manage or own these buildings, as elected officials, we have a responsibility to advocate on your behalf. On behalf of the residents, when we see an injustice, and based on everything we know, we should all be outraged at what is going on at Pierce Manor. I want you to know, though, that despite the many difficulties, that as president, I am doing all I can to help bring resolution to your situation. I've invited CIS, I've asked them to come to meet with us, and I expect them to come to one of our meetings next month to meet with us. I'm happy to hear that they, on their own, have decided to initiate meetings with the residents, because that is what they should have been doing all along. I've discussed this with the mayor and expressed the concern as a collective body as to what's going on over at Pierce Manor as well. I've talked directly with the police director, and he's assured me he's made changes, and he's put in a new infrastructure, a new rotation. He's indicated to me, and I've asked him, and I've talked to him particularly about the name calling and things like that are taking place that are inappropriate, and how they're handling the residents that live there. I feel, mostly for the women, children, and the seniors that live there and have to go through this every day. But they assure me that because of the crime that takes place there, sometimes things don't always work out the way they like them to. But I ask them to please look into that and to work on it. I've also spoken with our director of the Health and Human Services Department. She's assured me that every time that there's a complaint that's made, that they go out there and they investigate, and they've been issuing summonses and bringing CIS to court to try to get that taken care of. And I've spoken to others to give urgency to your situation. So I don't want you to think that, and yeah, I said to Sean, I was going to try to get out there that last time he was here, and I haven't been able to. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. That just means I haven't been able to get out there from the last meeting to today. So I have not gone back on my word. You're judging me before I've had the opportunity to get out there.
You're going to be dead by the time you get there.
Red, you're still you're on the order. Thank you. Residents have clearly stated that the buildings need to be torn down. Based on what I've heard, and I've seen pictures, residents have shown me pictures on their phones. Councilman Grover showed me pictures on his phones. I've seen other pictures of what's going on over there. So I am aware of what's going on over there. And based on what I've seen, you're probably right. But the problem is that right now, if they decide to condemn, there's no plan in terms of where they're going to relocate all the families that are there. So I don't know that that's the answer either at this point, as terrible as the situation is there. I understand the difficulties that have been created for CIS when the state withdrew their funds to finance the original plan. But nonetheless, they have a responsibility as a landlord to their tenants, and they need to correct and make the situation right. After we meet with CIS, unless they're able to address your unhealthy living conditions in an acceptable time frame, I urge you to seek legal recourse. We mentioned once before that that's an alternative that you have, to seek legal recourse. And it may be time for you to start doing that if you don't want to wait for CIS to answer some of the questions or have some of the meetings that they're planning to have with you. And I also urge you to take this and bring the situation to the attention of your state and federal representatives as well, so that this way they can lend their hand in helping to do something, to make the situation better. I don't know, it was mentioned, Mr. Muhammad mentioned about those dollars. I don't know how those dollars are going to be allocated, so we have to find out that funding, how it's going to be used. sometimes they're designated to be used in a certain way. I don't know right now what the answer to that is. I don't even know that we've actually received that money. I know we're supposed to receive that money, but I don't know that we actually have yet, or how it's to be used. So we will be following up on that to find out to see if this can be used. Again, as some of you know, it is a federal project-based housing. You know, it is through the HUD and the federal government the only way that something can be done. And hopefully CIS will be working with us, working with the federal government to try to bring some resolution to this, whether it's refurbishing those buildings or whether it's relocating families to other locations. I don't know what the answer is right now. But I just want you to know that yes, I am doing whatever I can as president of council. And I know some of my colleagues also, you know, are also. I know that you indicated the councilwoman continues. I know Councilman West has also had contact with some families over there. I know Councilman Gorman as well has had contact with families over there and are doing what they can to help push and advocate to make the situation better for you. So we're not having forgotten you. It hasn't fallen on deaf ears. It's just a very difficult and complicated situation, and we are trying to do the best that we can for you.